My LLs, my Lubari listeners, my fellow real estate enthusiasts, and fellow real estate investors. Welcome back to another episode of the Lubari Real Estate Podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been tuning in for a while, you already know what we do here. We talk real estate, but also mindset, discipline, ownership, and becoming the best version of yourself while building generational wealth. Today's episode is titled Everything Will Work Out. And I really want you to lock in on this phrase because it's the anchor for this entire episode. And the phrase goes a little something like this. Everything is always working out for me in my favor. Not sometimes, not when the market's good, not when deals close fast, but always. Now, let me be clear. This episode is not about blind optimism, all right? It's not about ignoring reality. And it's definitely not about pretending that real estate is easy. This episode is about mental resilience. It's about staying aligned when things don't go according to plan. And it's about maintaining belief when timelines stretch or numbers change or lenders stall, investors hesitate, or when the market tests you. Because if you stay in real estate long enough, and I mean long enough, you realize this thing. The biggest threat to your success is never the deal. It's your mindset during the delay. All right, so let's nip something in the butt right away. Real estate will humble you. You can underwrite a deal perfectly. You can build a strong team. You can do everything, quote unquote, right. And you can still lose the deal. The seller can change their mind. The lender can give you different terms than you originally thought. Insurance can triple overnight. What else? Rates spike at the worst possible moment, or capital commitments fall through at the last minute. And at this point is where most people break. But they don't break because they're incapable. They break because they internalize the setback. They may start saying things like, "Oh, maybe this isn't for me," or "Everyone else is winning except for me," or "I should have started earlier." Maybe even "This market is too tough now." Well, let me tell you something important. If you're in the game, setbacks are just proof that you're playing at a higher level than most. Because people sitting on the sidelines, they don't deal with retrades. People who never submit offers never lose any deals. And people who never raise capital never get rejected. So when things slow down or they fall apart or they just don't go your way, don't take that as a sign to quit. Because it's not. What it really is a signal to adjust your perspective. Okay, now let's go back to that phrase, shall we? Everything is always working out for me in my favor. And this isn't wishful thinking. It's more so strategic belief. Because what a lot of investors don't realize until later is that some of the best things that ever happened to you in real estate, they come disguised as delays, denials, or even disappointments. For example, that deal that fell apart, it may have had hidden capex, could have had a bad partner, or a tenant base that would have crushed cash flow, or even debt terms that would have boxed you in for longer than you anticipated, or for something that was not in your original business plan. What about that lender that said no? Well, that lender forced you to find better terms. That lender introduced you to a stronger banking relationship, or they just saved you from over leveraging. Well, what about the slow season? Well, slow seasons gave you time to sharpen your underwriting. Slow season gave you time to strengthen your investor relationships, clean up your systems, or that slow season gave you time to improve your discipline. And you never see it in the moment, but clarity always shows up in hindsight because it is 2020. I mean, it is what it is. But the problem is most people don't stay in the game long enough to see how it all connects, how it all comes full circle. All right? Okay, let's shift gears and talk a little business. All right? Because at the end of the day, everybody wants better deals. Everybody wants better returns, better partners, and better timing. But very few people invest in the one thing that determines whether they'll really last: their own mental consistency. Because your mindset is what actually determines whether you follow up again, whether you submit the next offer, whether you keep raising capital when it's quiet, or whether you stay disciplined when motivation fades away. And a hard pill that a lot of people don't want to swallow is that your mindset on your worst days matters a hell of a lot more than your mindset or your strategy on your best days. Because strategies change, markets change, and we all know cycles shift. But the investor who believes everything is always working out for me stays calm under pressure. They don't panic, they don't rush bad deals, and they don't chase validation. What they do is they stay centered, they stay patient, and they stay consistent. And consistency compounds over time. So, how do we practice this mindset daily? Let's get practical about practicing, right? Well, you got to understand that belief without action is delusional, okay? So, how do you actually live this mindset? I've come up with 5 ways to anchor this into your real estate journey. Number 1, control the narrative in your head, because that story that you tell yourself determines your emotional state. So when a deal falls apart, you can say, I'm unlucky. Or you can say, something better is aligning. One drains your energy, but the other keeps you moving. So train yourself to reframe your mindset immediately. Number 2, detach from timelines and stay committed to the outcomes. Because a lot of frustration comes from expectations. It's not going to come from the reality of things. So you thought the deal would close in 60 days. Well, it took 180. That doesn't mean that you failed. Not at all. It just means that your timeline was wrong, not the path that you took. And this is why it's important to stay committed to the vision and not the clock. In fact, you can just pretend that the clock doesn't even exist. Keep working. Number 3, keep showing up even when it's quiet. Because silence doesn't mean that what you're doing is stagnant or you're not making any motion. So just because emails aren't coming back fast or brokers aren't calling you daily or investors are being cautious right now, none of that means that nothing is happening, because momentum builds underground first. It's just like a geyser, right? It boils up underground before it comes to the surface. So that's exactly why you need to stay consistent. Number 4, audit your progress, not just your results. Because your results can lag, okay? But your effort, how much time and energy you put into what you're doing, that is what's going to compound. So track and keep an eye on things like the offers that you submit, how many of them, the conversations that you've had, the relationships that you've built, and the skills that you've improved on. That way, you can see that progress is happening even when the scoreboard or the tally marks or the whiteboard, the blackboard, your notepad, whatever you use, hasn't caught up yet. And then finally, number 5, borrow belief on hard days. On the days when belief feels low, you need to lean on your discipline. You don't need to feel motivated all the time. But what you need to do is you need to act aligned, because belief often follows after action, not the other way around. Once you do something, you know that you can do it again and you know that you're capable of it. But if you believe you can do something but you never do it, then how do you know that you can even do it? Actions first. All right. Now, let me leave you with this perspective. Real estate isn't just about building or gathering assets. It's about building you. And what it helps you build is your patience, your emotional control, your confidence, your leadership, and your long-term thinking. And the person that you become on this journey is worth far more than any single deal that you will ever do. So when things feel heavy, or when progress feels slow, or especially when doubt creeps into your heart, just come back to this truth. Everything is always working out for me in my favor. Even when you don't see how, even when it doesn't feel like it, and even when the lesson is uncomfortable, it, especially when the lesson is uncomfortable. So now we move on to my favorite part of the podcast, where we talk about what real estate can do for you. And before I get into saying what I'm going to say, I just want to wish safety, and I hope everyone is okay during this snowstorm that we've been having in the US, because I know where I am here in Maryland, it kind of messed us up a little bit, and parts of the area are still snowed in. The major roads have been cleared out, but some people can't even get their cars out, and some people are still stuck. But I just hope that everyone is safe and everyone has enough resources to make it through. But also, don't be afraid to go outside and have a little fun, because yesterday I decided to be a little crazy like I do sometimes, and I drove to my cousin's house, and I'm not gonna lie, I had fun. I had fun driving, and man, the car was sliding, I was steering into it, and just having a good old time. Music was blasting. I stopped to get gas and get everybody food. And when I got there, we just had a good old time. We ate, we laughed, we had great conversation. We watched some new shows, played some games, and just enjoyed each other's company. And I also got my car stuck in the snow about like 50 feet before my cousin's house. And it was just funny. Sometimes all you can do is laugh. And I called him, I said, "Hey, you got a shovel?" So, shoveled my car out of the snow, and I made it into the driveway. And after that, yeah, I kind of got stuck because it's warm enough to rain, but then, yeah, everything froze over. But I managed to make it back today so that I can deliver this message and this podcast to all of you. So, with that being said, if this episode resonated with you, do me a favor. Share it with someone who's grinding in silence, someone who's discouraged, or someone who needs to hear this message right now. And if you're still here, still learning, and still taking action, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So keep showing up, keep believing, and keep building. Because everything, and I mean everything, is working out in your favor. I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Lubari Real Estate Podcast. Let me get my words right. Stay disciplined, stay aligned, and stay dangerous, my friends. I love you all, and be blessed.